A team that can morph into any Ranger form is the ultimate, the Mega. Not good enough? The Super Mega Anniversary seasons, celebrating 2 decades of Power Rangers. Yeah, we all know how it ended. And after the legendary battle, the haters really hit the internet.
There's hundreds of them.
Megaforce and Super Megaforce have gotten tons of hate over the years, and when I hit the internet and started asking people, why do you hate these seasons, I was actually surprised to see that some people say Megaforce was actually pretty good, Super Megaforce was bad. But after breaking down the first season of just Megaforce, which I really appreciate everybody who watched that video, I was so surprised how many people enjoyed it and commented on it. I wanted to continue watching Super Megaforce with fresh eyes and try to give it a fair shot with no bias.
Is he serious?
Now, we as fans can sometimes be a little judgy and not really give it a chance, and since most people really only watched it when it came out in 2013, and they're never going to watch it again, opinions or certain YouTubers who make statements sometimes become facts in people's minds, even though they're really just opinions, and I found that most of the time these comments really are not true. The best example I have of this is in Power Rangers Turbo. People always comment that it makes absolutely no sense that Bulk and Skull know the new cast when they come in. They're talking to them like they're friends, but when you actually watch Turbo and you go back to those episodes, they don't interact with the Power Rangers for like 13 episodes or something like that, and even then it's really not shown that they're friends. They start to recognize these people from the juice bar, but people will like go to their graves saying that, oh, that happened in Turbo and it was so dumb, even though they're not going back and actually watching it for themselves. Brings me to the thought, are all those statements like Troy is just a robot, Noah is pointless, are they actually true?
There's only one way to find out.
Now, the elephant in the room is that why did they use 2 seasons of Sentai and adapt those into 140 episode run of Power Rangers? Pirates are very popular in the movies, but very weak in toy sales apparently. How many of you actually owned a Captain Jack Sparrow action figure as a kid?
Exactly.
It's obvious because they never address the pirate theme. Orion has a trident that he calls a spear instead of a trident, like getting away from the ocean theme. And on the record, they actually admit that they just didn't think the pirate theme was going to sell very well. So that's why they thought if they combined it with another season of Sentai, that it would maybe help. But they also didn't really think the angel theme from the previous season was going to be a good seller as well. So they really hoped that they would just combine together and make enough sales for them to make a profit. Honestly, really surprised they don't do this more, or do like a 3 or 4 episode run with another Sentai team and use some footage from another season that they're never going to adapt into a full season, just like they did with the Alien Rangers. It would ultimately bring some more toy sales in, so I'm surprised they just don't do that more. Now, season 1 of Megaforce left off with Vrak sort of running off and the Armada coming in and bringing in a new leader. Robo Knight is nowhere to be found. The Power Rangers need help. They need more power. And Gosei says it's finally time to tap into their potential, this power that's around them. And of course, this is where the classic sort of Power Rangers your mom joke that I get to see all the time on so many comments and so many Ranger discussion groups, explanation for why Jake is going from Black Ranger to Green Ranger.
There's a simple explanation for that.
You know, I want to give credit where credit is due because the prop department did start hinting at this in season 1. The command center panel has always been green for Jake, even though he's the Black Ranger. There is a green towel in a scene that he's using, and there's several shots where his shoes or the bottom of his shoes are green when he's playing soccer. But yet Gosei never really gives us a reason for it, so I guess we'll never know.
I got you covered, bro.
Azim actually made up his own reasoning. He says that his element is earth, so the core of the earth, it's black and dark, and then on the outside, it is green and luscious. And so that's his explanation. And I have to say, you know, applaud him for actually putting some thought into this.
Thank you.
Now, in season 1 of Megaforce, the breakdown, I talked about the sort of absurd episode structure that they were using in a lot of episodes. We don't really get a well-rounded episode in Megaforce, and critics say that Super Megaforce is way worse and horribly written compared to Megaforce, but I strongly disagree with this, for a period of time at least. Episode 3, the Blue Saber Saga, actually really surprised me. Noah is in the computer lab looking over something. I assume it's the Ranger database. That seems to be what he's most focused on throughout this season. Emma comes in and asks him if he wants to come with her to take some pictures. He says no, and as she's walking out, he sort of snaps out of this funk. He's definitely stressed about something, but he decides, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna go help Emma the monster sends down this monster that is a great swordsman, and for some reason he really targets Noah. It sends Noah into a bit of a frenzy, not being good enough, and so he starts to train really hard. Ema tries to convince him that, he doesn't have to do this. They're a team, they'll work together. But Noah says if he gets stronger, then the team is stronger. He trains all day and night. At the end of it, Ema gives him his saber so he can go off and fight in the duel. He fights the monster, and then when the monster cheats, Ema and the rest of the team show up to help him out, showing that they're a team. All 5 of them give him their sabers. He uses them to defeat the monster. They have a Zord battle, wrapping it up at the end as sort of a traditional, this is what I learned today sort of thing from Noah. In my personal opinion, this is the best episode of Megaforce and Super Megaforce that we've seen so far in the whole entire seasons. It keeps the focus on Noah and gives Ema a supporting role in it. It creates a better bond between the two of them. It also shows a little bit of growth for Ema as she has to let go. She's a very nurturing, protective person, and she has to let go. She gives him the saber, even though she doesn't really agree with what he's doing, but she does it anyway. Troy shows a lot of leadership in this episode as well, allowing Noah to battle this on his own. At the end, Troy also compliments Noah and tells him how good of a job he's done. A lot of people online also like to say that it makes no sense that Noah became a swordsman. How did he become a swordsman all of a sudden? It makes no sense at all, but then they don't even remember this episode. This episode clearly shows how he overcame and became a better swordsman and trained. In season 1, Noah really doesn't use his intelligence at all in the normal nerdy sense we see in Power Rangers. Billy in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would have invented something or done something to help the team when they find these challenges with monsters, but Noah never really does that. And when I first started watching this series, I thought Noah wasn't really anything special, a copy of Billy that is just not as great, but I think that he goes into a whole different area of intelligence. He doesn't just use his intelligence in that nerdy way, in that stereotypical way. He actually uses his ability to learn to become a better fighter, which is something we've really never seen in Power Rangers before, and even Orion alludes to this later on in the series.
You showed me the importance of fighting with your head as well as with your hand.
He pushes himself to a limit he didn't even know he had. This episode honestly left me very excited for the rest of the season, something that I really didn't see in the first season of just Megaforce, but in Super Megaforce, it really got me excited. This seems like real Power Rangers to me. Now, I do want to point out a few factors in this that are technically not Power Rangers. There's no real comic relief. There's no local hangout place. There's no mentor or command center scene. Even without those elements, this episode was actually really good. And I believe there's a really good reason for that. This episode was written by Jason Smith, a former Ranger himself. You may know Jason from the fantastic season of Jungle Fury, which I've done a breakdown of. You should check it out. He knows what a great Power Ranger story is. I don't know whether or not Jason consciously thinks of this method, but this whole episode reminded me of the Dan Harmon story circle. Now, this isn't technically invented by Dan Harmon, but he has talked about it enough times and put this into words that people kind of equate it to his method of writing. There's 8 steps, and it goes in this circle arc where it comes back to the original point of the episode. Number 1, it establishes the protagonist. We establish Noah. He's in the computer lab. He's the main character. That's what we're getting out of this. And there's a need for something. Noah is, we assume, looking at the Ranger database, he's striving to become smarter, to become better, and he has a drive, a focus, a want, a need. Number 3 is they enter an unfamiliar territory, as in Noah being encountered by this sword monster who he can't defeat, and this is something that is out of his element. Number 4, they adapt. Noah trains very hard, becomes really good at using swords. Number 5, they get what they want. Noah is trying to become a better ranger, and he does this by the end of the episode. He becomes a better fighter. Number 6, they pay a heavy price. This is probably the one thing in this story circle that doesn't always happen in Power Rangers because it is a kid's show. Typically, they're not having a death or something happening to these people that's really terrible. It is still geared at children. Number 7, they return to a familiar situation. Noah is back with his team after training, becoming a better fighter. Number 8, they have changed as a result of their journey. This whole training process, fighting this monster, Noah has grown as a Power Ranger. He's increased the power of this team, and he and Ema have created a bond as well. And so now he is much better off for it. The team is much better off for it, and it completes this story circle, making it a really well-rounded story. And the typical Power Ranger episode we saw all the way back in the 90s does kind of stick to this sort of structure for the most part. The very next episode, we had the Lions Alliance. Tensu and Gosei have the Rangers at the command center. They tell them about the Lion Zord from Animaria, so they don't pronounce it the way they do in Wild Force, so that was kind of strange. They say Animaria, I think. Once again, this episode does leave out some key elements, but I think Super Megaforce is starting to find its own style. We're starting to have these cameos. The next episode, we have the episode with Jaden and Master G, which a lot of people wanted more out of this. They wanted Jaden to fight alongside the Rangers. I wish they would have maybe done that, but you know, looking back at it now, and I already did a breakdown of Samurai, I was just kind of excited to see them in, you know, a scene. But what makes this scene actually very, very cool, Alex Hartman, who played Jaden, and Azim, who plays Jake, are actually former roommates. While they were filming this scene, they looked at each other, thought, man, this is crazy. We both wanted to get to this point, becoming actors, and here we are doing this scene together.
Cool.
Then we have the Jungle Fury cameo with Casey, really more of a feature throughout the episode. And it's really cool to see Jason Smith not only write for this season, but come back as a cameo. Now, this episode is really great. He trains Emma and Jake to use their animal spirits just like he did in Jungle Fury. This episode sticks very much to that circle structure where they learn, they overcome, and come back as a stronger ranger. Honestly, at this point, Super Megaforce is like cruising, man. I am having such a great time, and it's well on its way to being one of the best anniversary seasons of all time. Okay, so we hit a few speed bumps in the season, one of those being Orion. First of all, before people jump in and start hating on Orion, I'm not saying that the actor Cameron is a bad actor. He didn't do anything wrong. He did a great job with the character he has. Power Ranger fans all know that the 6th Ranger is brought in typically about halfway through the season. If you watch Megaforce prior to it, it feels more like we're actually at the 3/4 mark, because technically we are if you're combining the 2 seasons into one. His storyline is compelling, but it interrupts the build up to the finale. If they would have had him arrive in like episode 3, it would have been a perfect fit. And then we could have moved on gradually through all those anniversary cameos and everything that we are already enjoying in this season currently. Of course, this is a personal opinion, but we all have personal opinions. I really do love the cast of Super Megaforce. If you've seen a lot of interviews of other actors who played the 6th Ranger of different seasons, most of them kind of hint at the cast, the current cast, not being that welcoming to them or being very awkward around them at first, and it took a long time to get over that. But Cameron has stated the whole cast sent him messages ahead of time and welcomed him to the cast, telling him all the good places to go to in New Zealand, which brings me to the statement I said in season 1. They are a fun cast. I enjoy them as a group. You can tell they all really, really get along. Now, Orion's character is something we've seen many times. We've seen it in the Magna Defender. We've seen it in Doggy Kruger. We've seen this in Taizan, the alien who comes from a world that's been destroyed. But I have to be fair and honest, there's a lot of plot holes in this. Gosei has been the keeper of the Ranger keys, and how did he lose these 6 Ranger keys? To our knowledge at this point, he's never unlocked these keys to anybody else. Gosei even says in Megaforce that he's had these powers for a long time, waiting until they were needed. It really leaves a plot hole that Gosei can't really explain.
There's a simple explanation for that.
What's that supposed to mean?
Finally get back to sort of our anniversary tributes in episode 14 when we go back to the RPM universe. Now, critics like to go off about this as well and say that the city looks way too futuristic for this post-apocalyptic world in Corinth. Again, this is a detail that is actually explained in the show if you actually listen to it. Gosei says Corinth has been at peace for a long time, so this is after defeated Vengex, so it's starting to look like a really advanced society. Even if you think it's total BS, I'm sorry, but it is a probability. They make that very clear in the episode. No plot hole there. Honestly, it looks more like a road system to me. Kind of wonder if maybe this is sort of a highway between Corinth and a new city that they've built. or it kind of looks like a dead-end road that they've kept the Zord. So I don't think it's probably in the heart of Corinth. Professor Cog comes through at this point, which is a villain from Clash of the Red Rangers from the season before, and I need to do a video on that in the future. But we also get to see Grinders. Now, this is the first time we've seen any henchmen from another season actually, in costume. So that's really kind of cool to see. This episode actually does some really cool little Easter eggs for longtime fans. It shows the Rangers going between dimensions, as Orion puts it, a fabric of time and space. In the comic, The Sins of the Future, documenting the time between Time Force and Hyperforce, Jen and Wes spend time in this sort of between dimensions. So it's a cool nod to see them actually showing this in live action.
It was amazing.
Of course, we start to slip in and out of this episode structure I talked about earlier. In episode 15, they defeat Prince Vekar. It starts with Gosei telling them to have a day off. Prince attacks with his own Megazord. The whole episode from there is basically one big fight scene. When they are thrown out of the Megazord, Noah has a fight by himself with a monster, and then they get back to the Megazord and they fight again. With all the criticism of the writing, I need to defend a few things. Vrock's back storyline is done very well, capturing Orion, using his powers to disarm the Rangers' super Megaforce powers. Then they can use footage from Megaforce to have their battle with Vrock. They thought that out the smoothest way they could have possibly done it. The fact that Vrock has alternate modes kind of fits the Super Megaforce theme where they can change. Also using Orion's 6 Ranger energy to reprogram Robo Knight. This is one of those things where it's really not clear how in the world this works, but thrown into it, I'll applaud that.
Simple explanation.
The buildup is well done. Vrock using Robo Knight against them with 2 additional generals that keep the Rangers sort of split up. One of the things that sort of holds up the finale for me is Emperor Mavro. He shows up for the last 3 episodes. We really don't get to see just how powerful he is. And when you are coming into the legendary battle, it feels kind of lackluster. Like the main baddie doesn't have any real emotional connection to the audience. There's no nostalgic connection to him. They could have benefited from revealing some former bad guy that, wanted vengeance on the Rangers. Maybe someone from the Machine Empire or something that, a character, Scorpina or somebody that we haven't seen for a long time. With only 3 episodes to establish this character, it just kind of killed it, for I think a lot of fans. But the Prince actually has a pretty interesting development. He's sort of this bumbling idiot, son of the Emperor, and is basically being babysat by the generals. But in episode 7, Silver Lining Part 1, he places an explosive on a high-ranking general, and he knows that the Rangers know how to disarm the general's shield that would cause the general to blow up and hopefully take out a few Rangers. The Prince's officers are shocked, saying, "You sacrificed a high-ranking general?" In this diabolical way, says, "To destroy the Rangers, I'll do anything." This is the point I definitely perked up.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. This is exciting. Very much a Trakina Lost Galaxy sort of storyline going here. I would have liked him to grow more throughout the season in this arrogance. Maybe a few episodes where he bests the Rangers and he gets really cocky and then his ego becomes his downfall. And I can dive more into that when I do my How to Fix Megaforce video that I hope you all check out later. The Prince and Vrock were brothers. Vrock says that this was a great distraction as he sets his giant drills into the earth to destroy it. Now, Noah starts using his brain more to help the team. Back in episode 13, he builds a blaster that channels 5 Ranger keys at once. They really start to count on his intelligence at this point. When the Zords gets a hole in it, Troy asks Noah to fix it. Noah is the one studying the Ranger database pretty much throughout the whole season, learning the unique abilities and advantages of each Ranger team. Noah, to me, is probably the Ranger with the most character development, and with becoming a swordsman, the Armada seems to really be intimidated by him, oftentimes having robots or monsters wanting to face him one-on-one. Sort of a personal goal of these villains to take out Noah. Argus fell to Noah's blade even after Noah was knocked out of his Ranger form. Vrock even seemed to challenge Noah, keeping the rest of the team distracted with another monster. But again, Noah bests him with his blade, really tying in the fact that if he's stronger, the team is strong. Jake and Gia's relationship is honestly a really fun part of Megaforce and Super Megaforce. I was weary at first because it's a very different team dynamic than we've ever seen before. A little ways into season 2, you can see Gia having feelings for Jake, although she'll still give him some crap here and there.
Thank you, Gosei. I will not let you down.
He is way too funny.
Piggyback race?
Come on.
What's a piggyback race?
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Hey, Jake.
Oh, hey.
Just about to head to Ernie's for a froyo.
I was gonna head there too.
You come with me if you like.
Okay. Yes.
Don't mess around, Jake. I don't want you getting hurt.
You know, Jake, you made it look so easy to ask someone you like out on a date. Maybe you should follow your own advice.
Gia, maybe you want to...
Guys, look, check it out.
Their story has built more and more. The interactions on her part at the beginning, kind of tired of Jake's, persistence. But at this point, she uses lots of sarcasm while also showing obvious signs that she cares about him. Jake and Gia are definitely two of the biggest personalities of the season. Every line from Jake is basically meme worthy.
No!
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Back off! Cool dude. Duty calls. Let's go.
Jake lends really well to the comic relief of the season, which they sort of him and haw around with Mr. Burley and Ernie. Those characters really went nowhere. They were used so sparsely that when they had a scene, it was sort of pointless. When Orion is leaving and says goodbye to Ernie, Ernie is crying because of how great of an employee and friend Orion was.
Hang this up on the wall. Like when sports teams retire a player's jersey. I'm going to miss you, Orion. I would better go put this in the laundry.
There's only like 4 episodes where Orion works at the brain freeze.
Calm down.
There was no emotional attachment to this character for me. Mr. Burley is basically not in this season at all. I think they kind of forgot about his character, to be honest.
Really scary.
But to return to Jake, he is the fun-loving character. He stays true to who he is. Besides being fun-loving, he's also the first one to sort of back up Troy as a leader. Oftentimes, he's reinforcing Troy as he's giving a speech. Now, Gia's the bad girl exterior, definitely fun and a fan favorite. Ciara is obviously beautiful, and a lot of the prior roles that she had before Power Rangers was just simply labeled as like the hot girl on Disney and Nickelodeon scenes.
Why are you girls sitting with these clowns? They're in a band.
And I should take this time to introduce my challenger. And I use welcome to the hen house, kid dog.
She is very beautiful, but her character is a lot more than this. Gia displays confidence and she never second guesses herself. I think that's a great quality. And as someone who has a daughter, I hope that she can kind of have that confidence like Gia does. She probably does the least amount of character development besides just opening up her heart to Jake, but she is a very fun character and I think fans all really like Gia. Now, Emma is your quiet personality type, much like Alyssa in Wild Force, but she still carries the team in a very supporting way. In Super Megaforce, she pretty much is only the supporting actress in most of these stories. She's not usually the main focus. I feel like the writers kind of started forgetting about her and not giving her a lot. Now, remember in season 1, when one of the reasons Gosei picked her was because she was a talented BMXer? Did we see Emma ride a bike in season 2?
In your dreams.
Honestly, I don't think we did. At the beginning, Emma was working at Ernie's brain freeze, and partway through the season,
I have a bad feeling about this.
yeah, Orion's working there, but Emma doesn't anymore. Christina Masterson in panels has stated that they had geared her up for different love connections with several different characters.
Wait a sec.
But nothing ever came of it.
I know Emma was kind of into Troy in the beginning. Nothing really happened. And then Orion came along and she's kind of into Orion, but nothing ever really happened.
Emma's not a bad character, and Christina Masterson was a great actress. She gave the character a lot of spunk while still being the stereotypical quiet one of the group. There is an episode where Emma makes this almost cartoon-like plan. Her and Orion keep changing costumes to trick the monster into going after them. It shows her personality and her creativity, but I think ultimately Ema's character fell victim to the writers not knowing what to do with her. Now in the season 1 Megaforce breakdown, I talked about Gosei and Tenzu, which really aren't included in a lot, and it's an odd choice.
What are you doing? Help!
Since they really don't see Gosei that much, and I know critics, people like to say Gosei is terrible, but Gosei doesn't really technically do anything wrong. He's just not in a lot of it, but it pushes that mentor leadership role a lot more heavily onto Troy. People love to say that Troy sucks. He's emotionless. Season 2, yes, Troy is more distant than in season 1. He doesn't spend every episode saying, "Where's Robo Knight? I'm trying to find Robo Knight." And I see that in comments all the time. That's literally all he talks about in season 2. But that's definitely an exaggeration. He only mentions it maybe like twice. And it's because he does have a strong connection to Robo Knight, and people love to take the single lines like,
Robo Knight, you have a mission to fulfill!
They'll bring that up and say Andrew Gray is a horrible actor. But there are so many great examples of him doing a great job at acting. I watched both seasons and his acting never took me out of the story. I think he did a great job, and I'm going to do a video specifically on Troy because he shows great characteristics in being a leader, and he has, you know, these opportunities that he could fight a bully. Even though he could wipe the floor with him, he doesn't, and he treats people with kindness. But yes, this season gives Troy a lot less to work with. The cast has gone to bat for Drew many times, saying that he wanted to do more but was told to act cold.
What?
He would oftentimes ask if he could redo or do a few different takes in different ways and was told no.
What?
So give him a little bit of break. That video I think is going to open you up to more about Troy and about Andrew Gray. That makes you realize how much Power Rangers really meant to him. Is Super Megaforce good? My own opinion is that it's decent during the sort of anniversary tribute episodes. Casey, Jaden, and Ameria, I wish they had kept going on that. Orion is an okay character. He just should have come in earlier. There really were some great parts of the season, but sticking the landing is what ultimately puts this in a bad place for a lot of fans, I believe. I was enjoying it, but the last 6 episodes of Super Megaforce are heavily fight scenes. Of course, we love the action, but Rangers isn't just about battles. We want to know these characters. We want to have an emotional connection to them. I broke it down, and these last 6 episodes contain 2 hours and 21 minutes of content. Only about 20 minutes of that involved normal scenes with the actors. No real character development, just the Rangers, here's a problem, go fight, and that's it. All Hail Prince Vekar had 1 minute and 45 seconds of Rangers out of the suits. Rock is Back Part 1 had just about 2 minutes out of suits, and with 6 out of 20 episodes having no character development, and with it being the home stretch of the season, I can't sit and say, oh man, this really was a great season, guys, you should give it a shot. There are great parts at the beginning, but at the end, you know, we could have had a really great like Leo in Lost Galaxy moment with Troy, or the Time Force coming back, you know, to save Wes or fight with him to the death. It was just explosions and fighting. There was no emotional connection with this team, which is really, you know, what hurt them. And the ending where they just stood up and walked away, you know, really kind of ruined the whole thing. But this is a great cast. There are fun parts about Super Megaforce. The more I'm removed from it originally airing, I actually love the Sentai suits more, and I kind of enjoy watching them change into different teams. So I did enjoy that part of it a lot. So there are things to enjoy about it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Now, if you were thinking, well, you didn't talk about Legendary Battle that much, I have videos that I've talked about the Legendary Battle before that I'll have you check out if you want to see some theories that I had about the Rangers never seen on Earth. A lot of things are going on right now in my life, all positive things, just very busy. If you notice, my background is different. I actually just moved recently. So thank you to all of you who have kept watching, commenting on my channel. I love talking to you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.